Hey VC, my friend Morrissey here. So before I get into this top 100 video, I need to make a correction to my previous video, or I guess my first video in this series. Some of you may have noticed, Bobby, you definitely noticed and left a comment. Thank you for pointing it out to me. But in my first video, I think it was like number 98 on my list was Daft Punk's Discovery. And then in my previous video to this one, it was that same album again. So yeah, in it got a whole mix up with like whenever I was making the list originally, it was like it was just kind of crazy, albums would jump from such a high gap like that. That happened in a couple of instances, and I thought I checked the list like probably 3 or 4 times all the way through, trying to look for mistakes like that, and just didn't notice that one. So yeah, thank you for the correction, Bobby. So that leaves an extra album because I only had 99 albums listed. So the true number 100, which just sadly barely got bumped off of my list previously due to there being a duplicate of Daft Punk. But the true number 100 is Dennis Wilson, Pacific Ocean Blue. Again, I just kind of picked this one up recently. There's his sweet dad bod there. I picked this up recently, a couple of weeks ago, or maybe months ago. And just a beautiful record. I've talked about it a lot in that previous video, but great album. I know most of you like that one. I've seen a lot of other people pick it up too. Like Andy picked one up. It's really awesome. So yeah, that's the true number 100, and Daft Punk is the true number 30, whatever it was in the previous video. I don't know off the top of my head, sorry. So anyway, that brings us to this video, which will be numbers 30 through 21. I'll get straight into it now, so I don't waste any more time. Number 30 is Patti Smith, Horses. Just fantastic. You could call it punk. I consider it maybe slightly pre-punk. Just barely, because this was 75, and this was her first record, but she, was super active during the whole original punk scene of like 77 in the CBGB club. Anyway, I talked about the track Gloria in my contest entry for Tales for the Crate, and she's got some tracks on here like Birdland, and I think it's just Land on the second side, but those two super long tracks that are like epic, almost like poetry sessions, or maybe like Stevie Nicks-esque religious experience, but she just lets loose on those. Just spouting her poetry with kind of a, not really a post-rock thing, but kind of in that same vein of just like epic musical scale. So it's a really great album. Number 30. Number 29 is my favorite jazz album, so kind of a spoiler, but there's no jazz any higher than this for me. Is another one I've talked about before, Search for the New Land by Lee Morgan. This is an original stereo copy, obviously not in the best condition, but still cool to have, especially for the deal that I got on it, which I've talked about too. I got several original Blue Notes and a couple Prestige and things for, it was like $100 for like 25 records. Super cool deal in hindsight. But obviously the title track on here, Search for the New Land, is one of my favorite pieces of music ever. I really love jazz records that only have a handful of songs. Like this one has 5 tracks, 2 on the first side and 3 on side B. I feel like it's like a more concise. You're able to get ideas, make larger impacts song-wise in jazz records like that. When you have a fewer amount of tracks. Not that I don't like albums that have more than 6 or 7 tracks, but 5 is like a good solid number. Especially it lets you have the tracks be a little bit longer. What else can I say about that? I mean, it's just fantastic. Lee Morgan's amazing trumpet player. I think even better than, in a lot of ways better than Miles Davis, and definitely better than someone like Freddie Hubbard in my opinion, or even like a Chet Baker. But and as a songwriter and band leader, I don't think he necessarily got to flourish in the ways that a lot of those guys did, but what he did do, I think, was mostly all amazing. Stuff like the Sidewinder and Cornbread and stuff like that. Those are all great records. So number 28 here, there's going to be a couple like Rolling Stone top 100-esque records in this section of the list. Starting, of course, with Sgt. Pepper by the Beatles. You all know Sgt. Pepper, come on. And this is a early U.S. stereo pressing. I literally just picked up the 2017 remaster recently. They just released it as a single LP. I picked that version up. But yeah, Sgt. Pepper, probably, it's in my top 3 favorite album covers of all time, I will say that. Just, I love the whole collage of like the who's who of artists and poets and philosophers and things. Like, there's James Dean in there, there's a Marilyn wax figure, there's Bob Dylan right up there. I think Gandhi was going to go like right here, and he got removed at the last minute. Like Shirley Temple, the Beatles themselves, you all know this cover very well, I'm sure, but just fascinating cover to me. And one of my top 5 favorite Beatles tracks, which I don't think is a very controversial opinion, is A Day in the Life. Just something about that track where you can tell what they're playing. They know that they're playing something important, at least in my opinion. Like, they have a feeling what they're playing, like they're taking themselves very seriously, which I think ended up making a great product. So, as I lose track yet again, I swear I do this in every single video. Number 27 is Ziggy and the Stooges' Raw Power. This is a 77 UK repress on CBS, and it's just raw power, man. It's Iggy Pop. Now this version is the David Bowie mix, which isn't the greatest. It's a little muted, and pressing quality isn't fantastic either. But I have a CD with the 90s Iggy Pop remix, re-recording, or not re-recording, but just remaster. And track-wise, Gimme Danger is probably my favorite Stooges song, honestly. Pretty Faces Going to Hell is up there too. Raw Power, obviously. Shake Appeal, Death Trap. Oh, and Search and Destroy, which I skipped over for some reason, but yeah. One of my favorite classic punk albums. What else to be said? That goes for a lot of these. There's not really, looking at my list, or at least this section of the list, there's not really anything that I would feel like I need to defend. Like, you all get it. Which is what I like about the VC. You all know these, and I don't have to explain myself to you. You know why they're good. 26, I guess, is this one, Harvest by Neil Young. Again, it's up there with classics. This one's not in a resealable sleeve, so I'll just pull it out real quick. I do like the gatefold in here. It's a great photo of him on like a doorknob. It's on that kind of interesting manila material that he would also do on like Tonight's the Night. On original pressings of that, it's kind of a textured cover. But yeah, Harvest is fantastic. Great album opener. Let me pull the gatefold out again so I can look at the track list. Out on the Weekend, fantastic album opener. Harvest, obviously, and Man Needs a Maid, conducted by, or arranged by Jack Niche, the composer. Heart of Gold, which was a huge hit for him. Ready for the Country, Old Man, another hit. There's a World, another Jack Niche track. Alabama, Needle and the Damage Done, another hit. And Words Between the Lines of Age, which I think is one of his best tracks in general. So pretty much every one of those songs would belong on a greatest hits Neil Young record. If like you were doing a true like 120 track long Neil Young greatest hits collection, all of these songs would probably be on here. I've said it before, early to mid 70s Neil Young is peak songwriting for me. He's up there with Dylan in a lot of ways. And speaking of Dylan, number 25 is Bringing It All Back Home by Bob Dylan. This is an original US mono pressing. I think I got this recently, so it's in one of my previous videos. I pulled out and showed the label. A lot of times this is my favorite Dylan record. It's up there with the big three, It's one of the big three in my opinion, but yeah, Subterranean, Homesick Blues, She Belongs to Me, Maggie's Farm, Love Minus Zero, Outlaw Blues, On the Road Again, Bob Dylan's 115th Dream, which is just a freaky song, honestly. Not musically, but lyrically, it's weird. It's a dream. Or maybe like an acid trip or something, I'm not sure. Mr. Tambourine Man, which was a big hit for him. Gates of Eden, It's Alright Mom, Only Bleeding, one of my top 3 all-time favorite Dylan tracks. And It's All Over Now, Baby Blue, which is, again, I think another hit for him. And it's covered a lot. I hear lots of covers of this song, but yeah, just fantastic record. Again, peak Dylan. I don't have to explain Bob Dylan to you guys. You know. Number 24. Yet another one. Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd. This is in my opinion, one of the best examples of album structuring and flow, like track list flow. There's moments of emotional climax, like Great Gig in the Sky. Immediately, you know, that side ends with that, and then Money is a great album opener. Into the kind of a breathing room of Us and Them, which is top 5 Pink Floyd for me. Into Brain Damage and Eclipse, one of the best album closers in my opinion. Time probably has my favorite guitar solo in all of like classic rock. You know the one I'm talking about. It's not the most technically impressive guitar solo, but emotionally, or like what they call like feeling, with the Gilmore's playing is just on point right there. You know these. 23 here. Maybe this one is a little less conventional, but it's Talking Heads. My favorite Talking Heads record, Remain in Light. Big hit on here is why am I blanking on it? Once in a Lifetime. You've all seen the music video. I'm a big fan of the first side, actually. Great Curve, Cross-Eyed and Painless, which they do a great version of at the Stop Making Sense tour. Born Under Punches, Houses in Motion. Listening Wind is a super underrated Talking Heads song in my opinion. A little bit of a slow, haunting kind of ballad. This is getting harder and harder to find original Talking Heads stuff. So I'm glad I got it when I did, kind of early in my collecting days. I actually got this the first time I went to Josie Records, which opened in like 2014. So I got this copy in 2014, along with like Eno's Apollo Atmospheres and Soundtracks and things. A couple other records, but yeah, fantastic. Guess you just call it new wave, art rock, slightly punk influence, a little bit of electronic new wave going on in Once in a Lifetime. And again, getting more into their world influence and maybe a little bit of like Afrobeat influence on some of the earlier tracks on there. So 22, another huge one, is Big Star's #1 record. Radio City is also up there for me, and in a lot of ways, I first experienced them, I've talked about this before, but I have this CD that's like a double, it's one disc, but it's got both records, their first 2 records on one disc. And so a lot of ways it's weird for me to split the first 2 records up, like Radio City and this. But yeah, this is their first record, #1 record. Just flawless album. Flawless classic rock, a little bit of early glam maybe. Proto like indie rock. All of our favorite bands from today, whether they know it or not, are influenced by Big Star. That's all been said before. This is nothing original that I'm making up here. But probably my favorite track on here, besides stuff like Ballad of El Goodo, In the Street, and 13, is probably My Life is Right. And I'm also a big fan of like Give Me Another Chance and Try Again and things, stuff like that. And the really interesting album closer ST 100/6, or however you say that, is really interesting way to close this kind of angsty kind of record. We all know the story of Big Star. There's a great documentary on them I highly recommend seeking out called Big Star, Nothing Can Hurt Me. It's kind of telling their story, the making of all their records and things, and a little bit of the story of like Chris Bell. And 21 here, maybe also a little bit of an unconventional one to be so high up for me, but it's Radiohead and Rainbows. From 2007, this one, and again, kind of a flawless record in my opinion. There's not one bad track on here. If you've never listened to Radiohead, or if you tried and have been turned off for various reasons, I would just give this one a shot. This is super accessible while still remaining truly Radiohead. They're not really compromising with their sound in any way. It's got a couple of electronic elements while still remaining, it's like 95% a rock record. Nothing really too weird going on with song structure, time and signature and things. A little bit on the track 15 step, but it's not really that crazy of time signature changes. And just probably my favorite 3-song run on any record ever is probably this stretch of songs up here is up there with me, or for me. What am I trying to say? 3 songs on here right in a row. It's up there for best stretch for me personally. Again, same thing with Big Star too, but the tracks Nude, Weird Fishes, and All I Need, which closes side 1 of this record, is again, track listing wise, one of the best one of the best combinations of songs I've ever heard. But yeah, that's this part of the list. I got through that pretty quickly. I'm glad I was able to squeeze in this video today because I kind of overslept a little bit. If you don't know, I work nights, and sometimes it's hard for me to catch up on sleep and things like that, but I did it. Hopefully this will be up. No issues uploading, anything like that. I don't know if you can tell I'm a little bit tired. Yeah, that's it. I've got a lot of stuff to show in my next video that I'm going to film really soon. Not tonight, but it'll be my finds from the month of January, which is a lot of stuff, actually, to be honest with you, because it's all combined with, I got normal paychecks. I was lucky enough to get a Christmas bonus. I did a little bit of selling, a little bit of trading, and there was the DFW record show last weekend. So yeah, that'll be my next video really soon. I'll probably film that this weekend, and I will see you then. Keep up the good work, VC. Again, if you're working on starting this list, I would love to watch your videos eventually. Bobby, you just started making it. That's great. Still watching David Guerre's. Andy's Vinyl Dens list was fantastic, and obviously the one that started all this, Tales from the Crate, who inspired me to do this in the first place. Thank you all. Thanks everyone that watches, comments, likes, all my subscribers, everyone that doesn't subscribe. I'm gushing here, but yeah, thanks for thanks for supporting me, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.